Owners in football. They could be really, really good or they could be really bad. More recently, owners have been in the spotlight for the wrong reasons, which brings in the fit and proper test. Is it really doing its job or is it doing more damage to the football clubs? For me, that is what we're going to find out. Yes, it's another sit-down video, and yes, we're doing another debate, this time with my good friend Dan Bell. Go check out his channel. He does a lot of good stuff for non-league. So today, or I should say, we and him are going to do some debating about owners in football. Hope you enjoyed the video. It's great to have you on my channel. It's been a long time since you've been on my channel. I can't remember the last time you actually been on my channel. Was it the Chesterfield game? I'm trying to remember now.
I think it might have been the Halifax Chesterfield playoff game, wasn't it? At the end of the season before last.
Yeah, yeah, it was pretty decent because me and you did the video that day. You did one for your channel, of course. I did one with my channel. But there's a lot of things that I think we need to delve into. Of course, you know, on the back of the video that you did with the fit and proper test for your owners. When you look at some of the clubs now that have come down from sort of the Football League, and you see a lot of clubs in non-league, do you think there needs to be more support at that National League North level, that clubs are coming down from the Football League, that they need a bit of revenue and a little bit of money to kind of keep them afloat?
Yeah, I just think that for me, throughout the board, really, like from the Premier League right down, the fit and proper test is not fit for purpose within itself, and I think until it's properly looked into, like the criteria of it, etc., I think you're just going to see this problem over and over again. And like, look at obviously what's just happened with Scunthorpe. Like, they got rid of Peter Swan. I think all the fans at that point thought, right, okay, going to get relegated to the National League North, but maybe it is. But maybe in the summer it can be a time to start afresh. And yet, things seem to be going okay for them. Obviously, they brought in some very good players over the course of the summer, like players that have done it in the National League, in the Football League. But I think, like, even then, there's a lot of questions behind, like, how are they affording all these players, etc. And then I think it all just came to a bit of a grinding halt the other week with the allegations against David Hilton, etc. And obviously, he sort of admitted himself, like, some of the sort of things that had gone on in the past. So I just think, that this fit and proper test just needs to be a lot more thorough to protect the football clubs themselves more than anything. And you look at it as well, like, some of these owners have actually got their hands on more than one club, which again is really concerning. Like, because I think Roy Keane said it about Man United players once in a, like, when he's sort of berating them on Sky Sports, that leopards don't change their spots. And yeah, so it just really, like, boggles my mind, if I'm telling the truth.
It does, and I think, you know, I wouldn't wish on any club that's, you know, to go out of business or anything like that. I wouldn't against, you know, my own worst enemy. I think when you look at the clubs in the past, I think, well, you know, Gateshead being a great example, the fact that, you know, you've got Joe Cowler that comes in, Rajan Varghese as well comes in, and you think at the time, I remember that season because he started so well. Then there's a lot of question marks. There's a lot of sort of articles and news stories that came out about these owners, and then eventually they did sell up. But do you think that when you look at Gateshead, that it's still an effect that they're still living on like 5 years later?
I think, I think for a time after, like, immediately after we'd sort of obviously got them out, and the GFC Soul and what have you had taken over the club, I think there was a huge sense of relief that the club was just still there. Like, even with the demotion to the National League North, even starting that first season back in the National League North, obviously not particularly well. But I think there is a much sort of bigger sort of sense of caution around the club. And look, I'll be open and honest about it. I think that, like, through obviously those bad times did come some good, because I think like before that, I think people were becoming a little bit disillusioned by the club. It was becoming a little bit unrecognisable, like because the sort of ethos of Gateshead Football Club was to recruit like local players that are always hungry like for the badge and stuff like that. I mean, granted at National League level, you maybe need to look elsewhere if you want to sort of put together a squad that is sort of good enough to compete. But just think that we brought in a lot of players from down south. Like the football wasn't good to watch. Like fans were almost sort of turning on each other really. So I think like when Joe Colour, Ranjan Varghese, Michael Di Stefano, whatever came in, I think that really helped help sort of unify the fans, if you get what I mean. And I think obviously because we're on such a low budget, we had no choice but to recruit locally. And I think I'd say that is probably one of the most sort of likeable squads I've ever watched with Gateshead in that 1890s, and like everything that's obviously going on behind the scenes, and obviously like I know obviously people say we got relegated that season, but obviously that wasn't on sporting merit. That was literally through the shoddy ownership, like the financial irregularities. So yeah, I think I think obviously going forward, like forever really, like for as long as this generation of Gateshead fans are alive and the ones that sort of went through that season, will always be that sense of caution. I think if we were to ever like if and when the next time a new owner comes in, I think there will be like very very thorough spot checks on the background of whatever you put in from the Gateshead soul, because because the last thing we want is to go back to square one. But I really do think now that like thankfully we can all just leave that in the past now, and I'd like to think that we'll never be sort of conned in that sort of way again.
I do think you're right. I do think there's a lot of owners who like to talk a good game, and I think we've seen that Scunthorpe United where David Hilton has kind of sold them a dream a little bit. And the sad thing is about it is, he took Ilkeston, from the wilderness. He's built them a great stadium. He's done all this for them. He took them from, into the Northern Prem, the one league below the National League, and yet he goes and buys Scunthorpe. And I do think when you see a lot of the owners and a lot of the allegations, again, we don't really want to kind of speculate and in case we get into trouble. But in terms of like when you see owners that they want to just kind of strip assets of the football club and kind of make their own kind of way in the business as well, do you think that a lot of these owners do talk a good game rather than actually just being genuine and actually building a relationship with the fans?
Yeah, I think that's about right. I think with a lot of them, have looked to have taken over clubs before, and like they might make an opening statement once they do, or they might make a statement when they're trying to buy. But then you look at their past and other clubs have tried to buy, like those statements they're making are almost like word for word, like in comparison, really. Like so, obviously with I remember obviously when we got taken over by Ranjan Varghese, let's be honest, was a figurehead, and it really was sort of Joe Colour who was the owner. Like just ask any Gateshead player or any staff from that season who was running the show. But yeah, like I think they like when he tried to take over Morecambe, he'd written a statement there about his sort of vision for the future, and the one we got was like almost word for word. Obviously, I think like the only differences was obviously Morecambe was replaced by Gateshead, and that was literally it. So it just all feels a little bit like you do get, unfortunately, a lot of clubs sold a dream, but unfortunately with Conmet, a lot of them are sadly quite notably convincing.
You're right, and I think the sad thing is when you look at someone like Berry, who again we associate him with the Football League, and I remember when they won League Two, and then all of a sudden they can't field the team anymore. Steve Dale ripped the club to shreds, and I think the sad thing is that they're having to start all over again. But I'm glad the fact that they are making inroads back in the football, in the pyramids again. But you don't want something like Scunthorpe, where it is a working class town. A lot of the people look forward to a Saturday or a midweek to go and support the football club. And when you get someone like an owner who doesn't really care, doesn't really know the town that well, I think it's sad the fact that Scunthorpe could go under. There's a lot of talk about fans saying that we might not make it at the end of November, the way that they are. And I think that what we've seen, or what I've seen, the statement, the fact that they've talked about moving to Gainsborough and playing their football there, and then Gainsborough come out a statement saying we were unaware of this statement. So, what needs to be, if you're Scunthorpe United now and a fan, what clarity would you want now from just anyone that's making a statement?
I think it's just a simple case of here's what we're gonna do, and here's how we're gonna do it. Just to because there's, I think all this uncertainty and all one person saying one thing but someone else saying another, it really doesn't help anyone, no matter whose side you're on. So just think for Scunthorpe and the fans, it is just about that clarity. Is there any sort of prospective new owners being lined up that have maybe been that maybe have even been sort of that David Hilton or whoever's been speaking to for a few months now, because I think with a lot of things, there's a lot in football. There's a lot goes on behind the scenes, and a lot of things seem to get decided long before the public actually sort of get to know about it. So it'll be really interesting to see. But I do think, there's just we're just with Scunthorpe. There just needs to be clarity of what at least the temporary measures are until there is a firm solution put in place. How do the players and how do the staff go about being paid? Because it doesn't matter who you support, whether you love Scunthorpe, hate them. At the end of the day, nobody deserves to be not getting paid. You've got to remember, especially at this level of football, these are almost people you'd see on the street. You're seeing Morrison's or Tesco's. They've got food to put on the table, families to provide for, bills to pay. So I think for them, they need a bit. They're the ones especially that needs the most amount of clarity. And at the end of the day, the fundraiser that's gone out for the Scunthorpe staff's been nothing short of phenomenal. But at the end of the day, it shouldn't be down to Scunthorpe fans and Joe Public to pay the wages because someone's employer's not doing it, or obviously he's pulling out. So
Yeah, absolutely spot on, then. Just to finish then, so in terms of a plan then for owners for taking over football clubs like us, if we're in charge of the Football League or the National League of what it is, what would you like to see in these fit and proper tests to make sure that we are screening these owners and making sure that these owners are genuine and actually got the best interest for the football club?
I think that obviously the main one is having proven a proper proof of funds. I just think even just looking at people that might be associated with, being a little circle with or whatever, just to make sure that there's no chance that they're just essentially sort of figureheading, just being a figurehead, just so that they can maybe slip the mates in who's going to essentially make all of the decisions. I think it's it just raises a lot of questions of how does this keep happening? Because with a lot of these owners, quite a lot of the time it is literally a simple case of doing a quick Google search on the name, and you might get you might have to search. It might take to the 8th page to find something, but that 8th page could say something that could potentially be of very significant importance to this whole process.
And so there we go then, that is our video done. Let me know what you think about the owners in non-league, what could be done to do more with the fit and proper test, and is really the money coming down from the Football League and the Premier League enough to keep a lot of these clubs afloat? Let me know what you think in the comments. Let me know what your thoughts are. But yes, if you enjoyed this, smash that like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't, and yes, we'll see you in another one.